Hey everyone, welcome to a deck tech video. This is a basic budget red aggro deck. There's only 2 cards in here that are going to run you a slight bit of money, but the rest is really cheap. It's fast, it can win really quickly. It's not top tier, but let's go into it. Basically, Mountains, 18 copies. That's your mana base, nice and cheap. We're going to be running 4 copies of Boumat Courier. It's 1 mana haste. When it attacks, you exile top card of your library face down. Then you can pay 1 red, discard your hand, sacrifice this creature, and you put all the cards exiled in Boumat Courier into your hand. This card's a great turn 1 play. You play it down, you swing with it, tell your library, I put it underneath the card so I don't forget where it is. And then you keep doing that every turn. What a good strategy to do is to leave 1 mana open at all times. So when you get more than 3 or 4 cards in there, if this creature dies, those cards get lost. You can't get them back. There's nothing you can do about it. So I keep 1 mana spare. When my hand's empty or nearly empty, or I think it's going to die, I tap 1, discard my cards in my hand, and I get a fresh supply of cards. And with a burn deck, you use it as point 2 or 3 cards, cure spells, you're going to win. It's going to help win the game for you. So a very good turn 1 play card. Next we have Monastery Swiftspear, 4 copies again. So again, 1 mana. It's got haste, 1/2. When this card's so good is it's got prowess, which basically means when you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+1 to end of turn. So we're going to have a good tier 1 play, swing in. We'll go into this creature is to play it, swing for the attack, and then the opponent will accept the damage hopefully, and then in response you simply cast a bolt and a burn spell, pull up the damage just to get an extra points of damage into your opponent. Super good card. Get 1 to the opening hand, command Boumat Courier, and you just swing away, nail out your instant sorceries. That's that. Next we have 4 copies of Soul-Scar Mage. It's a similar again, 1 mana. It's a 1/2 with prowess. It's got the same ability as Monastery Swiftspear. If a sorcery you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, pull out many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. This card is handy against the decks that start building up a big creature base and you can't quite break through the mould. Because when you cast a non-creature spell, like a bolt or a burn spell, instead of burn damage, you'll instantly just take -1/-1 counters instead, lowering their effectiveness down. Even if they've got a big creature, even if it's something powerful, something indestructible even, you weaken them down. And even you can kill stuff. Indestructible stuff can die to -1/-1 counters, so it's super handy card to have. It's just another good card, 1 mana cheap, get out fast, fill the board with your creatures, give them something to worry about. These are the only expensive cards in the deck. They aren't too cheap because they are so useful. Grim Lavamancer, 1 mana, it's a 1/1. Then you can pay 1 red and exile 2 cards in your graveyard, and it does 2 damage to any creature or any player. It's a good card to have when you're a bit of a tight squeeze and you can't quite break through and face your opponent off. You simply just pay 1 and just get rid of 2 cards in your graveyard and ping off damage at your opponent. So it's just a handy card. I only run 2 copies because you don't need too many, because you only do it once per turn with tapping it, so you don't need that many copies of it, so just 2. I mean, if you don't want to put it in there, you can put another cheap creature in. Vexing Devil's pretty handy, but I stick with these. Next, we're going to move on to the instants and sorceries. Okay, first of all, Faithless Looting. This card is a key card in any red deck. It's so good. You draw 2 cards, and you discard 2 cards, and you can also pay 3 flashback cost, cast them in your graveyard again. It's just super handy if you've got like a bit extra mana, or you just need extra cards. It's a great turn 1 play, or turn 2, Monastery Swiftspear. You play this, you get a bit of advantage, you swing with your Swiftspear, extra damage. Super handy. And the discarding cards, we'll keep that in mind, we'll do that later. Lightning Bolts, perfect red card. You can't go wrong with Lightning Bolts. It's just instant, 3 damage, creature or player. What more can you want? 1 mana, kicks them in prowess, super cheap, super fast to hit them with. Stuff like this, just with a red deck, it just melts the opponent's health, it just takes them down so quick. Similar card to this, the next 4 copies of that, by the way. There's 4 copies of Lava Spike. It's pretty similar to Lightning Bolt, except for it's a sorcery and it's player only. So If you are going to use this with prowess, make sure you play it before you attack, because you can't play it after you attack. It's not an instant. So play this card first, or on your second phase maybe. It's just another cheap 3 damage card. This deck's all about numbers, getting the damage in fast. You know, turn 3, turn 4, you can even kill someone that quickly. Next, we have 2 copies of Riftbolt. You might think 3 mana for 3 damage to each other player is a bit useless, but it's very rarely going to cast it for that much. You're going to instead cast it for a suspend cost, which is 1 red, and rather than play this card in your hand, you pay 1, remove it from the game with a time counter on it. Begin your next upkeep, remove the time counter, and then remove the last counter, you play it up, pay its mana costs. Summarise, that basically means you pay 1 mana, 1 red, put it to the side, next turn it hits the player 3 damage or creature. Good tip to do this is, when you spend it, pay the 1 and put it on top of your library. That way you can't miss the trigger, you can't miss the count, you can't miss the effect. Opponent can't say, oh, you shouldn't play that right now, you forgot, you missed your chance. So, just another handy little card to play. And plus, you play it for 1 mana. If you are in a bind, you can play it 3 mana to finish them off, but it's very rare you do that. Next, Magma Jet. It's 2 mana, 1 red, 1 colourless. It's instant, 2 damage to a creature or player, and you get to scry 2. Now, obviously, scry 2 means top 2 cards in your library, you look at them both, you can put them back under your library, you can run any order you want. So it's handy to just filter through your deck if you've got Blanco in it next you don't need, or a creature late in the game what you just don't want, so you're just looking for that last bolt just to finish them off with. This card will be your key. It's also instant, so with the prowess triggers, end of go triggers, you do stuff like that. It's just a super handy card, creature as well. What else we got? So I have 3 copies of Gutshot. It's Phyrexian mana, so we can pay with 1 red or 2 life, instant, 1 damage creature or player. It's not a lot, but it's a handy card. Sometimes I've had opponents on 1 life, sometimes I've got a creature, a pesky little creature, could be an infect creature that's just doing me, I can't quite kill quick enough and it's going to ruin the game. This helps me out. Yeah, paying 2 life to do 1 damage might seem like a waste, but super handy in the right situations. And I think we have now 4 copies of Fiery Temper. Fiery Temper is 3 mana for 3 damage to creature or player. Instant speed. This card's similar to Riftbolt, as in you're not going to actually cast it for 3 mana. You can cast it instead for its madness cost, which is 1 mana, and you play this card from its madness cost. At the same time, you discard it from your hand. Remember I said earlier with Faithless Looting, discarding the card? So with this, it's very rare you're going to pay the 3 mana. If you do Faithless Looting, but later on you get keep a mana spare, you can discard this card and you get 3 damage for 1 mana. Adds up. All adds up. All the effects add up. Stack up. Take the opponent's life down quickly. I have run 1 copy of Insult and Injury. Basically, you can either play both these cards, you cast them from the graveyard next out, so you play the Insult part first, goes to the graveyard, and at any point you want you can cast the Aftermath part. It's a sorcery. The Insult is damage when it defends this turn, and if a sorcery control deals damage this turn, it deals double that damage instead. So it's super good. Combines like Prowess, trigger the Prowess, get extra damage in there, double the damage. Combine with Grim Lavamancer, any instant or sorcery, it just pumps the extra damage. And lastly, it's just an extra little effect. You can cast from the graveyard 3 mana and do 2 damage to creature or player. Just another handy little effect to help finish the opponent off. Lastly, I run 4 copies of the Flame of Keld. It's 2 mana enchantment, a saga enchantment. So basically, you play it, you do the first effect, next to upkeep, you do the second effect, and the third, and then it's discarded. So basically, when you play this card, you discard your hand. So always play this card. It's sort of when your hand's running low. And in a burn deck, you fly through your hands so fast. You're gonna have no cards in your hand very soon. So having one of these in your hand is super handy. So you'll play this card. If you have any cards in your hand, discard them. You have some dud land cards you don't need, or a creature that you just don't want to play. Discard it. The next turn, you draw 2 cards. Well, obviously you draw 3 cards because you draw a card anyway. Start your turn, so you get 3 cards. I mean, that could be 3 bolts. That could be 3 lava spikes. It's a lot of damage. It adds up fast. And lastly, the last effect is if a red sorcery controls the damage to a opponent to a player this turn, it does that much damage plus 2 to that opponent or player instead. So super handy. A lot of times players will forget about the effects of this, and you'll swing with your creatures, you'll hit, and you'll go, oh, you got to take more damage. This deck is all about numbers. You pump up fast, you swing in, you take them out. If you want to make this deck a bit less budgets, you can put in fetch lands, Bloodstained Mires, Arid Messes. Basically that'll just cut through your library faster, help you just draw the cards you want so you aren't drawing lands late in the game. You don't want to draw lands late in the game. That's one of the worst effects of a burn deck, is drawing lands late on. The worst things you can do, so stuff like that and drawing cards, card in your hand, it just helps filter through the deck and just get the cards you need. Okay, thanks guys.